Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to allow some time for participants to join us in this Microsoft Teams environment. Alrighty, it is 10 a.m. and we're just going to go ahead and get started. My name is Cecilia Henley. I am the product manager for the Drupal platform and additional digital solutions here at Tyler, Colorado. With your permission, I'm going to share my screen. And if you could give me a thumbs up, I think I could see faces over here and I could see my screen. We're just going to go ahead and jump in it. Thank you so much, Kellen, and thank you, Alexa. We're going to continue to admit participants through the again, I know that we have other conflicting activities, other webinars that you might be attending. So we're going to continue to admit individuals to the call, but know that this meeting will be recorded and made available on our cms.colorado.gov. I do have additional staff members from Tyler, Colorado here with me. So if you have any questions, I ask that you please put those in the chat or that you raise your digital hands. So without further ado, we're just going to go ahead and jump into this. So a little bit of housekeeping. We have a website for those who are new to this experience. We have a website, it's our training website. It is cms.colorado.gov, and that is where we have training resources and updates pertaining to the platform. In addition to that, we just mentioned that the session will be recorded and will be made available, but we do ask that you make space and take space. This is intended to be a collaboration. So if you do have any questions, please raise your digital hand, and I will make sure that we capture those as we progress through what we want to share today. And to that end, we do have some statements that are still the same from before. I'm going to share this by video and I can send you the slides so that you could visit with this information and let us know if you have questions. Should you have any questions, feel free to send those over to partner support at www.colorado.gov and we will get back to you. This is regarding our paragraphs, which is the existing way in which we're building websites is with rows and cards. And then the training and support, we will continue this training and support every other Wednesday. We had only scheduled them until the end of May, but since we still have requests for people, from people, we're going to go and extend those. So please have a look at your calendar. In the next week, we're going to be populating the next quarter all the way, and maybe throughout the end of the year if you think that these are of value to you. Okay, so do let us know. Just send us a message on partner support. And then layouts will continue to be developed after we conclude the accessibility project. We will continue to build out the layout content type. Alrighty, so these are the items that we are hoping to address today. We're wanting to visit the content module and we want to create a basic page and a landing page. We're just going to do the basic page because the landing page is a little bit, we have covered that in the past, but we do want to make sure that we look at a layout content type and how to create it and how to edit an existing one. Now, how to locate the layout in the media library, we're going to do that. And we're also going to do some other things that are pertinent because of our release that we just did. We have some changes that we want to show you on the platform. There's no action on your part. There's just accessibility mitigation that we have rolled out. Now, if you have any items that you would like for us to demo or to cover, I ask that you place that in the chat so that we could curate this time to be the most value for you. So again, don't be shy. Go ahead and request what you're wanting to see today in that chat, and we will make sure that we cover that. So with your permission, I'm going to switch over to our site. That site is cms.colorado.gov. I'm going to place this in the chat so you can follow along if you just wanted to have this for reference, or if you wanted to visit any materials from before. Alrighty. So here you would notice that we have the protocol and the domain. All of the sites are going to be on the colorado.gov domain. However, for you to access this website, we ask that you go towards the end of your URL and then you insert a / and then the term user. This will take you to the login page. Okay. Now, in the login page, if you do not have an account, or if you have a new employee in your team that needs access to the website, we ask that you invite them to create an account. And that is this blue call to action on the bottom left of your display. Now, if you already have an account, we will ask that you leverage your Google single sign-on, or alternatively, you could just leverage a user and password combination. Now, for the example, since most of our government is a Google enterprise, and that's what you are using, I'm going to sign in as myself using Google single sign-on. And this is what it will look like. If you use other ones, just select the one that is pertaining to this particular website. I have multiple ones for testing purposes. That's why you will see that I have signed up using 2 different ones. So for the example, I'm just going to sign in as an administrator. And you will notice that now I have 2 different menus that float atop of my display. Now, this is a visual indicator that you are authenticated. If you look at the first option right here, this is your manage, and this is going to toggle back and forth all of the different modules that are available to a user based on their roles, the permissions that have been assigned to a specific user. So I happen to be administrator for 540 websites. So I have an administrator view. I have greater features and functionalities, and I have different flyouts that come out of menus because of the role that I play as it relates to the platform. Now, each and every one of you has a different set of privileges based on your role within a particular website. And it might differ from website to website. That's why all of these modules will look different based on the experience. So far, so good? Here on the top, if you have a smaller screen, I know that I have this one I have for training. It's a large screen for training. So I have enough real estate to do what I need to do. However, if you wanted to toggle the modules away, this will give you a greater surface for you to work. You could just click on it again and all of your modules will populate right here. So I'm going to start with the least frequented, which is the people module. If you need to add people, you will tap, click, or select onto the people module. And from here, you can search the name or the email for that new person. However, once you identify the person, you could go into the operations column and you can execute the necessary edits to this account. Now, there are 2 things that tend to happen. You will either provide a different set of permissions down here. These are the roles. And then at the top, you could change the status. So if you have a new person that they have signed up and they still don't have access, you want to do 2 things. You want to make sure that the account is activated, and then you have assigned the specific roles that pertain to that user for their assignment. Now, again, this is when you click, tap, or select on the people module. Usually people go here only when their teams change. If you have a lot of interns that you're giving access, that is an experience that you will be here more often. But teams tend to stay the same for 6 to 9 months. So if you have any questions about, or longer, if you do have any questions about how to manage your people, make sure that you send us a message to partner support at www.colorado.gov so that we can walk you through the process and answer whatever questions you may have. Now, that is the people module. And I just wanted to get that out because we do have a lot of tickets in the partner support about how to add a user. So I wanted to make sure we address that here. Now, the next thing that I would like to do is briefly go over kind of like the anatomy of the site before we start to create things. This here at the top of this website is an alert content type. We have some utility menus. We have decided to insert a Google language translation, which is available to everybody. Just again, partner support, and I will add it to your website. Soon we're going to add it to all of the websites so that it's consistent across the platform. We have a Google programmable search engine that is already installed, and we have an opportunity for a header, for a logo in your header region. Like right underneath this global area, you will see another opportunity for wayfinding. This is your top navigation. And this top navigation will be changed on the 28th. It is scheduled for release on the 28th, and it will provide a more accessible experience for our blind and physically handicapped users. So again, if you have any questions about it, we're just going to have those training resources here on the website. In addition to that, we have the footer here at the bottom. The colors for this footer, if you wanted to make any changes, please reach out. We could do that for you. But when we click on the home page, you will notice a few things. We have this opportunity for displaying a decorative or an informative element. This region is called the Jumbotron. And as we scroll down, you will see that we have the site. This particular page is built with something called rows and cards. This is a row. This particular row has an uneven distribution. What that means is that not all cars are laid out equally, evenly. This one has a different distribution. The one underneath it has an equal distribution, and it is just a basic card. These here, by the way, are called icon cards. And they are empowered. They are leveraging the Font Awesome library, which is already accessible. As we scroll down quickly, you will see that we have another row that is not formatted. It is just an equal distribution without a color, a shadow, or a background, but it has 4 different icon cards. And these again are accessible, and they're using the Font Awesome library. This here is just an opportunity for some decorative items, and this is a hero row, which is unique to the landing page content type. And then again, at the bottom, we have the main footer block, which is available to you so that you can have some information that floats at the bottom of all of your pages. So this is just a quick little anatomy of how the page looks. I'm going to go ahead and click, tap, or select into the content modules. If we do we have any questions so far? Alrighty, I'm going to take that as a no, but please feel free to raise your hand or put something on the comments. Just go ahead and put something in the chat if you want to see something specific. Okay, so we're going to click, tap, or select the content module. Once the content module is open, you will be presented with the media library. The media library refers to all of these different elements that you see here on this top ribbon. The media is considered it's a combination of the things that you to build on our website and the things that you're bringing in. So the media library is a file management system. It is not as robust as some other in the market, but this is where you will be uploading all of your accessible PDFs and your accessible images. Let me show you that very quickly because I know this comes a lot in our partner support. So when you are in the media library, again, you tap, click, or select on the content module, and then you are presented with this media library. The media component, the media elements are those things that you're going to be uploading to your website. And if you notice down here, this is just the table. The table has headers, and if you scroll to the bottom, you have pagination. However, if you didn't want to page through the entire list, what you could do is use these parameters at the top of your table to filter your results, and then you could use the headers that are clickable to sort them. And you could sort them alphabetical by title, or you could just by the date that were updated last. Now, the default will be the most recent update at the top because the system is going to populate the items that you frequently touch and sort them in that order. Now, when we talk about the different types of media that could be added to the CMS, to your website in the media library, we have a few options. I know it is limited, but it's either going to be a document, an image, or a video. Those are the 3 broad categories of media that can be added to the website. In order for you to add an image, you want to click, tap, or select on this blue button that reads Add Media, and then from there, you could just select a document. Now, the only required field will be the name and the actual document. If these two are not implemented, it will fail, it will not save. So for the example, if you wanted to add a document, you could go into your device and find the different items that you're interested in adding here, and you will upload it. So for this particular example, I am going to grab this PDF document and I'm going to open it, and you will notice that it is now loaded. Now for the title, you want to populate this information, and then you want to always scroll to the bottom because it will not automatically save. We want to make sure that we scroll to the bottom and we save, and this will create a node. The node is containing the file, and I will explain in a moment. Everything in Drupal is based out of nodes that stem from that particular website. So the website is cms.colorado.gov, but that is our homepage, and everything will just stem kind of like grapes on the vine off of that homepage, right? And there are links and dependencies that are built every single time you create a piece of content. So for instance, this Drupal 10 agenda, when I click on it, you will notice that the media library has assigned a numerical value to this particular asset. However, this asset is not the document itself. This is the asset that contains the file. This file has also been uploaded to our server. So if you wanted to take advantage of the versioning, if you have a different version of this document, you could always reference the node. However, if you wanted to reference the file itself, not the media container, you could reference this right here. It depends on the experience that you want to present to your constituency. And again, we will go into this in a little detail, in more detail as needed, but this is basically the experience when you are clicking on the file as opposed to clicking on the media. Now, I'm going to return to the media library. So I'm going to click, tap, or select on the content module, and I'm going to click, tap, or select on the media tab of the media library. Now I am going to click add media so that I can show you how we insert an image. And the reason why we are doing that today is because one of our accessibility mitigations just rolled out last night, and it was hot off the press. It was tested this morning and it's good to go. So let me go ahead and just add an image, and we're going to call this a Juncker rainforest, which is one of my favorite places in the world. And I'm going to make sure I don't have an extra space, no extra space here. And that's it. Now, what we want to make sure is that if you needed to utilize this particular image to be a featured crop, that you can apply those at this moment. So from here, you will have the ability to select a portion of the image. You're not resizing it. What you are doing is that you're just putting the boundaries for the image that will be displayed. And in addition to that, we have a hero cropping. Now, I'm just going to keep the screen here because this is the training website and I need to show you in demo.colorado the new feature. So allow me to click over to demo, click, tap, or select on the content. I'm going to click on the media. And from the media library, I'm going to add an image. When I add the image, you should see, oh, it's not displaying quite yet. Alrighty, I'm going to circle back to this. We do have a new feature. I wonder if we rolled it out to allow me one moment. I'm going to go to the media, add media. And Robert is on the call. It had to do with the double quotation marks. This was an item in which the media library was not giving you the option to not be required. So
There were two issues. One was lack of decoration and the ability to mark it as such, and the other was what I call the four quotes error, in that the alt text was not being displayed.
Yep. So the required once you upload the image, the required is no longer there. So you could opt to have it. Yeah, I think it's in demo still. We will be rolling this out, I believe, on the 28th because it didn't go out yesterday, but this was the blocker for us to
Hmm.
be able to make it a decorative item, right? So it is still, and we have so many deployments. I thought it had gone yesterday, but maybe I was testing for the deployment that is coming on the 28th. And this asterisk that makes it mandatory is no longer going to be there. So at that point, we could just do the best practices about inserting our quotation marks to make sure that it is read as a decorative item, as opposed
Hmm.
to flagging it for lack of an alternative text. So yes, that is something that is coming soon. So yeah, I apologize for the little segue. I was testing and I thought I was ready already, but that is coming. So
Thank
no
you.
worries there. This is here mandatory, and when you are forced to enter an alternative text, and then it doesn't read it, and it doesn't give you the opportunity to demonstrate that it is a decorative item. So we do have something that we just tested yesterday that is going to be ready on the 28th. So that is an update that I'm happy that you're on the call, Robert, so that I could roll out to you. But yes, make sure that when you are cropping your images that you're intending to use, that you provide those boundaries so that your images display as expected. So sometimes you have an image and you're trying to use it as a featured image and you never told it, the system is just going to provide you a blank. It's not going to provide you the region that you are wanting to display as a featured image. I hope this makes sense, but please make sure that you are applying the crops if you are intending to use this as a featured image or as a hero image. Hero is the cropping for the jumbo slides and for the hero rows. Alrighty. All right, so we're gonna just go back into the content. We have looked at how we add an image, how we add a document. For you to search those, you will have the most recently added at the top of your table. Now let's go ahead and add a piece of content. So we're gonna click, tap, or select on the content tab of the media library, which is in the content module. Now, some of these things are going to be the same that we have had in Drupal 9, Drupal 8, all the way out to, yeah, Drupal 8. This is your media library content. It has the pagination at the bottom. Sorry for the super scroll. There is your pagination. If we scroll back to the top, you can limit your media library content by the different content types that are available, by the moderation state, or you could just select the author. So if you just wanted to see the content that was authored by this particular individual, it is only the author, not the updates, but it will provide you with greater ability to limit the pool of results. Now, again, you have the ability to execute these bulk actions. Just be mindful that bulk actions cannot be undone. So if you are in need of deleting or editing content in a bulk fashion and you need some help, again, reach out to us through partner support and we're more than happy to schedule a meeting so that you don't permanently delete your content. You will be surprised, but this happens often. I will say once every 2 weeks, somebody has deleted the home page or a bunch of pages that they didn't want to. And if we don't catch it on time, we cannot retrieve the document for you. So again, make sure that when you are deleting content, it's really to be deleted. My recommendation is that we always change the moderation state from publish to draft or archive in order to keep the document for posterity if you needed to reference it. But yeah, be very, very careful when you are deleting items. We are at 10:22. Please put any comments or raise your hand if you have any questions. In order for you to add a new piece of content, these are the things that are native to the site, your articles, your event, your basic pages, your alert, all of those that you're using to display the content, not the decorative items or the informative items that are in the media tab. So in order for you to create a piece of content, you want to click, tap, or select this call to action button that says add content. And then you're going to see the list of offerings. For the example, we are going to use the basic page, and we are going to give this one just a title. Let's just call it Rainforest and then I'm gonna grab some of this lorem ipsum. This is just some placeholder text. And the first thing that we wanted to remind everyone, in order for your page not to break or for content to display as expected, we really beg that you paste content without the formatting. So please strip the content. I do this for the example, but I really like using Notepad. So when my supervisor Alexa or someone from the team is like, "Hey, Cecilia, update this," I like to put it in Notepad so that I could just get all of the copy that needs to be displayed on the website onto a solution that is not going to carry over the content. However, if you must copy paste, just either use your hotkeys or use that right click and paste without formatting, but just be mindful that that additional code that comes over is what's going to make your page break or not display as expected. So here I have just added some placeholder text. I'm using my hotkey. It is the same as using your feature from your call out when you do a right click. From here, we're going to do a few things. I'm just going to go ahead and add a sample, a little bit of text so that we can show how to implement a link. So I am going to type sample text. I am going to highlight the sample text. And at this point, I am going to navigate towards this little link icon. And when I link, I will have the ability to link to the relative path, which refers to items that are within my website. In addition to that, I could use the absolute path and link to something that is outside of my website, as long as I provide the protocol and the domains, right? And I could link to anchor text that I have from before. All right. So for this example, I am just going to start to type lorem ipsum, which is one of the documents that I know is in my library. And this is what I was trying to explain earlier, that I have a media node that is called lorem ipsum example. And then I have 3 different versions that have existed in this particular node. Now, if I wanted to have a perpetual or a permanent link in which those versions are referenced, I will select the media. But if all I want to do is to point directly to the file as it sits on the server, I will select that option there. If you click the advanced, you have the ability to enhance the experience by introducing an area label. And if you wanted to have this open in a new link, you could do so by toggling here and saving. Okay, now that you see it's when you hover, it's telling you on the left corner where it's going, so you know all of the features are there. And if I wanted to make this into a button, I will highlight my sample text that has already been made into a link, and I will style it. And to do that, I would just click, tap, or select on the styles, and I could just go to, let us do success, and I have applied the color green. I also want to apply rounded. And I'm going to hit return so I can continue to edit. Now, the other thing that always comes up as a question is inserting from the media library. If you click, tap, or select this icon that has the musical note, this is the combination of the files, the pictures, and the videos, everything that is in your media library. If you select this option with the arrow, this is your upload, and this is something that changed with the most recent release. Not sure if you guys have noticed it, but this indicates that you are pulling the item from your device. And I hope that makes sense. So let's do this one here. This is just an item, and it's pulling it from my device and allowing me to have that option to toggle between alternative text and the decorative item. Now, decorative items may not need to be managed like you manage your items in the media library. That's why the upload allows for decorative. But at this point, I can leverage the alternative text. Now, at this point, I must click the green so that I can save that alternative text. And then I have the opportunity to style or to format this right here. If I wanted to, I'm not sure that this is a good use case, but if you needed to make this image into a button, you could just leverage, it's the same link feature. If you have a use case to make your images clickable, just know that that feature is available to you. So I could resize the image just by pulling on the boundaries, right? And if I needed to start a new paragraph, I'm just going to click here and my cursor is down below. So again, we are able to add an image from our device. Additionally, we can add an image from the media library. I have this one already there, so I'm going to click and I'm going to tell the system to insert the selected image. And this is the difference between the image that comes from my device and the image that comes from the media library. These are my sizing options right here. They are limited, but if you wanted for it to be the full content type, it will just show you what the image is looking like when it's uploaded to the media library. Alternatively, you can explore these right here and see if that is fitting your needs. You'll have the position of the image as it relates to the content and where it wraps, and you can always make this into a link if needed. So at this point, I'm going to scroll to the bottom, and I am going to make sure that my page is in draft because I'm not ready. Now, if you're ready at this point, this is ready for prime time, go ahead and make it public. But the reason why I'm keeping this as a draft is so that I can show you the pink background that is the visual indicator that your item is in the draft moderation state. So the changes have been saved, but the moderation state is not published. So you can see this is my rounded green. That is the image of the streets of Old San Juan. And this is an image of a computer that I already had in my media library. Now, if I wanted to change the moderation state, I could do so. Right now, the default is published because that's my only option for a new piece of content. I'm going to hit apply, and you will notice that the pink background has been removed. Now, revisions are kept indefinitely. Every single time you hit save, it will create a revision. The only person, if you wanted to delete your revisions, you could do so. But if there is a use case for someone to say, I visited your website in February and there was a piece of content, this is a good thing to keep these revisions. You could easily go into the page and say, yes, you are right. This item was displayed back in February. We have made edits since. Use this form instead of that other, or follow these instructions as opposed to those others. So this allows you for some version control of the updates of your website. So far, so good. You guys have been extremely quiet, and I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but throw me a thumbs up if you're tracking or if there is something that you need. So I'm going to move on to a layout content type. So in order for me to create a layout, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click, tap, or select on the add content. Let me see. 1 second. So far, so good. Thank you, Krista. So I'm going to go to the same exact screen where we selected the basic page because we're adding a content type called layout. And I'm going to scroll to the middle of the page right here. And there it is. Now, a lot of things are familiar here. The only required field is going to be the title. So for this one, I'm just going to say another layout. Oops, I did that already. It's funny because the more I have taught this so many times, I have to come up with a new list of testing materials. Here you could leverage the featured image if you would like to have a media added to the top of the page. But then again, this is all the same. This is the CK Editor 5. CK Editor 5. So all of the features and functionalities remain the same. The few little touches that we added was the upload the image from the computer, and the styles were released for buttons 2 releases ago. So for this release, this is the new thing. It has a visual indicator that this is an upload, and the description also changed. So this is all the same. I'm going to grab some text placeholder, and I'm just going to strip the format, and I'm going to place this here, and we are going to save. A few things to note. You still have the revisions. Every single time we save this piece of content, the revisions will be there. You can add revision notes. The menu settings are going to be there. We have all of the features that we had with the paragraphs, rows, and cards. This is where the authoring comes in. It's only for the person who authors the page, not the person who executes the edits. But I'm going to make sure that I deselect because we don't want this page to be published because we're not quite done with it. Now, when I save it, it is going to save the page and it's going to be familiar. It's going to have that pink background because it's not in a published moderation state. But now the layout tab is present, and this is where I'm going to leverage the new features. Now, the most remarkable differences is that this is not a paragraph in which every row and card needs to be formatted individually. The boundary of this solid blue line indicates that it's your page. And the first block that we see, the first section that we see is what we added in the body. So different than rows and cards in which the body floated on top and then the rows and cards were stacked underneath, the sections are, you could take them and float them, move them freely. So they're not limited or contained in paragraphs. So that is the biggest departure from rows and cards into sections and blocks. This solid blue line will indicate everything that is within this blue line is going to be displayed. The first section is the one we borrowed from the body. If you need to edit that, you can edit it here, or you could just edit by leveraging this little pencil. This is the icon that is leveraged here a lot for edits. So if you needed to edit this, you could click here and configure that particular block. As we scroll down, we have opportunities to add more blocks to the section. The dashed line is the boundary for the section, and then the little dotted line is the boundary for the block. Yes, Krista.
Morning, Cecilia and everybody.
Good morning.
I have two questions. I put one in the chat and you can address it later, but I'm interested to know if the title is an H1 tag, accessibility question. We can't help ourselves. But my other question about what you're doing here is, our peeps really like the buttons with the icons in them, you know, those big buttons you can have, and it's just the icon shows the little, you know, comment thing and it goes right to a link. Can you merge, or I guess mix and match between layout and rows and cards? So if somebody wanted those icon buttons, you could put that in as a block in this layout, or is it just one or the other? Does that make sense what I'm asking?
Let me see if I'm tracking. We do have an icon block, which is going to be similar to the icon card, but it's how it's interpreted within the sections and blocks. So this is an icon block, and I'm going to say sample block. And I'm going to display the title, and then I'm going to say sample text is what is going to be displayed. And then for my icon, you guys know I am a book lover, so I'm going to say book, and it's searching the Font Awesome library for me. But while this is cooking, Krista, I like this one. Let me go and get some color. Let's do, I don't know, let's just do purple. And let me make it a little bit roundy, and I'm going to add the block. So this is that same experience that we had before. So what we need to do is just, I did this on purpose so that you can see how the title will display, and then the box, the copy. So you have the opportunity to just put the title and have the title display. You could add more content, but you could still have Font Awesome blocks. I hope that answers your question.
It does. I put a sample in the chat, but that's exactly what I'm talking about, because as I said, we have some peeps that just really like these. So this is perfect. Thank you.
Oh, totally. We love an icon card as well. That's why we brought it over. But again, here the one thing to note is that right now, Krista is showing from boundary to boundary because this first section was configured in the body and it has a single column. But let me show you what we could do. We can add a section that has multiple columns, no? And this is, let me call this section title. And I'm going to make this an H2 because you asked about H1. The first part of your question is the title of all pages will still remain H1, and then you could determine what you want for the sections. So your next level would be an H2, and you would just do that here. So I'm going to change it from an H1 to an H2. And we have two things that we can leverage here. We can move the title if needed, And if you needed to change the color, we have 3 options. So I'm going to try slate for the example, and I'm going to add the section. Now that I have added the section, you will see the little corrugated line for each one of the blocks. But the beauty is that, say that I don't want this up here, I could just put it here. And then I could do other ones, and this will mimic the experience that we have on the water quality. So in this particular case, it is a single row with a single card. Here you would do 2, right? You would do 2 blocks per section and so forth. So you could recreate the same experience that we had in paragraph, rows, and cards with this. So I'm going to go over here. If you wanted to do another one, you could just add them right there. Now,
and this is all done in that layout. We do it in layout. We just choose layout.
Yes. So what you would do is you will go into the content, you will add a layout content type. And when you're in the edit of it, you need to give it a title. That's the only thing we need. We just need a title, and don't make it published because you're still working on it. And if you have a robust website, you don't want people finding halfway made pages. So please scroll to the bottom, deselect the published, and then when you hit save, the node will be created, right? And when you go into the layout to edit this layout, you will notice, look, this is the layout that I built. And it already has a node, right? All I'm going to do is scroll to the bottom, and I'm going to start to edit all of my sections by adding blocks, and I can move these up and down, but they're not restricted by the paragraph. Does that make sense?
It is. And can I just say, this is very cool.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, this is so much better than rows and cards with the same functionality. So yay.
Well, that is very, very kind of you. Rows and cards is very familiar to us. So we have become accustomed to seeing rows and cards. I have had rows and cards for 4.5 years that I have been here. So again, we just want people to be able to see the differences and where we have these opportunities. And thank you so much for that. I will tell our developers that you said that, Krista. So again, if I wanted to create another section, I could just go ahead and click, tap, or select on this. And then you have this feature that we just demonstrated with the question from Krista. And if you again wanted to change the distribution, instead of using fractions, we're just using percentages. That is the main difference between the rows and cards distribution. It's just how the weight is. So if it's 50-50, it's equal to half and half, like we had it over in rows and cards. But everything else remains the same. Now, since we have this example here, let me close out of here so that I can scroll up, and you can see that section 1 doesn't have a title. So if I wanted to make sure that this section has a header too, what you want to do is click here to configure that section, and this should be familiar, right? Let's say section 1, and then you could go ahead and edit this to be an H2. Does that make sense? So it's going to come out without a title, but you have the ability to implement or remove titles from different sections. It's pretty similar to our row title, which was not a mandatory field, but it was helpful for those headings. So that is the same experience over here. So this one here is section 1. We didn't change the color or anything. We just called it section 1. And you notice now that it says configure section 1. So this label will carry whatever title you apply to it. If I scroll to the bottom a little bit, you will see here that this is lowercase section title. I do this on purpose so that you can see that this is section title. If I needed to configure that particular section, I could just make those edits right there. And now it is section title. That is, let's make it blue so that you can see it in real time. And it's not changing to blue. Uh-oh, I have to write that ticket up. Something changed last night. So yeah, the color is still showing black for me. So I need to change that. If we were to add a third one and we were to just randomly pick, we could change the distribution of the list, and I don't necessarily have to add a title. So I'm just going to add this one without the title so that you can see this one is saying section 3. Now, to add a block, I wanted to show you that we have these options for blocks right here. And the open embed is by far one of those very popular ones. So I'm going to write here open embed. And I am going to find something that is okay to share. So Tiny Desk is my poison. I think I'm in a sharing mood today. So I'm just gonna copy this right here and I'm going to go back to my page and I'm gonna ask it not to display the title because it is not necessary, but in the body, this is where I'm going to paste my iframe. So if you have anything that comes from a third party, from another SaaS, a map, whatever it is that you want, a Tableau, whatever it is that you're wanting to embed, I'm asking you to leverage this open embed so that it renders as expected instead of using the basic block and going behind and using the source. So this is the equivalent of your open embed card. You have the opportunity to add some background. I'm going to keep it easy peasy. I'm just going to add a shadow so that you can see the boundary of the block and I'm going to add it. Now, you would notice that the shadow is slight, but it is there, right? And this is going to play just as it were in the other solution. If I wanted to add a block here, the other one that we tend to use is, what is it that I always add? Let's try a media. And I'm trying to keep an eye on the time, but at the same time, see if there are any questions in the chat. Thank you, Barry. Let's just use this one. I'm going to tell the system to insert this particular image, and here it is. If I wanted to add a border, I could do so. I'm just going to use a border so that you can see how it is floating on the section, and here we go. I think this is good for the moment. Let me go ahead and show. We do have some empty ones right here, but these could also be populated. Alternatively, I could just grab Adele and pop her there, or I could just get this image and put it there. So that is the flexibility that we do not have in the paragraphs, which is very useful for when you're creating, and it saves you a ton of time. But I'm going to scroll to the top, which is again another difference from the rows and cards and the layouts. Your save, I always say save at the bottom left corner. Now I'm going to say save your layout on the top, okay? And again, this is in a draft moderation state because it's not ready for prime time. Here is section 1. This is section title. It should be blue. I'm going to write this for our amazing Drupalists to have a look at that. And these are the blocks. Remember, this is empty because we had 4, right? This is empty right here because we had 4. And section 3 is here. But since there isn't anything, it isn't displaying anything. But you see that this is the media block that has that solid background. This is Adele with her little shadow, and this is that icon. Are we good so far? We're at 45. We have about 15 minutes remaining of your time. Are there any things that I could show? They're not fixed. They're based on they are based on the number of cards. So for this particular example, kind of like in water quality, the number of cards is determined by the number of items that you're adding. So if I have a block that is a single block on a card, it's going to take the width of my display. But if I have 4 cards, those are just going to go in that order that I go ahead. You have a question.
Yeah, I was just going to say the height. Like I noticed, yeah, like those 3 things next to each other, they look nicely, distributed size-wise.
I see what you're saying.
Lengthwise, but height-wise, they look a little funky. So let's say the middle one had more and the other one had less. Like, is there a way you can set them so they all can at least be, consistent?
That is a good observation. It's the height of the container is usually driven in rows and cards by the basic card. So when we are looking at water quality, you will notice that the height of the container is driven by, if they're all the same like this, but for instance, if we go into the CMS website, which is this one right here, and I go back to the home page, the height of the container is determined by the basic card. I'm going to take a note, Krista, that I'm going to ask Barry and the team offline about the height of the blocks and the sections.
Yeah, because in rows and cards, at least to my knowledge, I'm still learning it. You can't put in the type of media you are. I can't put a video in. I can't put a picture in. I can only put text, a link, and a little font amazing symbol. So there's no determination of different sizes. Again, I'm new. I've used Drupal for a lot of years, but rows and cards are new for me. So maybe I don't know.
Totally.
But I just want to be able to make my pages look pretty and consistent. So
absolutely, absolutely. I totally get it. I think, Krista, maybe we need to schedule a one-on-one to make sure that we are hitting what you're needing, right? Because it depends on how you are displaying the content. Oftentimes when we are creating these, we make sure that they're all matching and that we're limiting and floating the content. But this is something that begs further discussion. So if you will allow me, I'm going to reach out to my team. And if you don't mind, schedule a one-on-one so that we could get together and answer these questions. And then we could brief out to the entire team, because if you have a question, maybe other people will have a similar question. All right. I did cover the items that I was wanting to cover, and I know I went quickly because I wanted to have time to converse with you guys. Are there any feedback? Thank you so much, Krista, for all of your questions. And thank you, Barry, for answering those as well. Go ahead, Evan.
Yes, thank you. And I apologize if this is off topic, but I always appreciate your time. I was working away at our website the other day. I just hadn't been on in a while. My team typically does the website updates, and I couldn't see the button icon or button to add. It seems like it's still only code that you can use to change, unless I was completely missing it. Because I knew we had it before the Drupal upgrade a few months ago. But it just seems like that little icon that used to be in the editor is gone. And I didn't know if that's ever coming back, if I'm not missing it.
No, you are totally correct. You are totally correct. With CK Editor 4, the icon is no longer there, but our team built a module that you could style. You could go and style those links in the shape of buttons. So I'm going to click tap or select into the media library, and we're going to go to another, actually it was Rainforest, the one we did together today. This one has a button right here. And I'm going to click on the edit to show you how that is done. I'm going to hit return here, and I'm going to say sample button. And I'm going to select this text, right? The first, it's a two-step type of deal, Evan and Krista. So what I want to do is I want to implement the link first. So this here, I am going to link it to the NPR. Yep, and I made a mess. NPR.org, right? I think so. Oh my goodness, I really need more coffee. NPR.org. Alrighty, so I hope I typed this correctly. NPR.org. So now that I have my link, I'm going to click on the green button to make sure that the link is implemented. Now, in order for me to take this link and style it as a button on the WYSIWYG on the very top left, you're going to see this styles option, right? And here you want to just carrot down and you can find the different labels for these. Now, again, danger is red, success is green. Now that I have applied the color for the style, I could determine if I wanted it to be a solid block or if I wanted to make it rounded. And it will tell you that there are multiple styles that are applied. And these you could toggle off or you could toggle on. Like if you don't want the default, you could just toggle here and it would just tell you what options you have available. Now, Evan, I'm going to scroll to the bottom and I'm going to save so that you can see the buttons right there. So this top one is that one that I had green and then I changed to the default color and I removed the rounded. But this is how a button is implemented. I'm going to put something in the chat for us to look at. I think I called it button. This is what the buttons look like. This is the page we used when we tested them, didn't we? So feel free to use that as reference. These are the buttons the first day that they came out. This is what they look like. And then this is what it is, the style. So its style will be button, slate color, border with color. So yeah, hopefully this is useful to you, but we had to add that onto CK Editor 5 because it wasn't present. Yes, sir. Evan.
Yeah, that's super helpful. I actually didn't know it was there, so that's groundbreaking for me, actually. The only other question the other question I had, now that you're showing me the examples, why aren't there more deeper tones? Like typically when you go to a website, a button is a dark color itself, and maybe when you hover it, it goes to a lighter color. For instance, like we use the dark blue, the brand blue as buttons across our site, and it seems like that isn't one of the default, based on what I just saw on the screen. I don't know if it's somewhere else.
Yeah, I do invite you to play with these because you have the solid button right here. And you could use that to apply that for a solid button to remain solid. And we have the sizes here. So we have extra small, small, medium, and large, right? So it's just a matter of playing with this combination and seeing if you find the one that meets your needs, if you wanted it rounded or just square button. But these are the colors that we have. Let me, I could definitely check and see. On the demo.colorado.gov, we had the same colors. So this right here was my palette from before. And what we did in the new CK editor is that we have the ability to have it be solid. But yes, this is wonderful feedback. I'm going to definitely reach out to the team and see what opportunities we have for further development of the buttons.
Okay, thank you.
But here, these are the old icon cards, are the ones that are for Rosen cards. And these are the CK Editor 4 that we retained on this example so that you can refer to the styles when you are implementing those here. So yeah, if you have any additional feedback, please, Evan, send us a message on partner support. Because after the accessibility project is wrapped up in the next 2 weeks, we will have greater capacity to further explore what opportunities are available to these buttons. And I think that we recreated the experience as we had it. We added the border. So definitely we could do some research and development. Okay, we have about 5 minutes until the end. No, totally my pleasure. Truly my pleasure. Through feedback, I grow. I know people are sick and tired of me and saying that, but feedback allows me to take this to the next level. So do we have any other feedback or comments or questions from the team? Anything that you would like to see demonstrated? Hi, Jill.
Hey, can you just real quick show again how you created that layout, where you went to do that?
The content type?
Yeah, I was getting into our website and trying to find it, and I must have missed something on how to do that.
Oh, no worries. So you want to click, tap, or select on the content module. And that is this first step right here. So click, tap, or select on the content module. And then if you have one that is already made, you could narrow it down by content type. However, if you want to create a brand new one, you want to click, tap, or select on the add content. Kind of like how you were adding the basic pages before. It's just an alphabetical list, and you're just going to scroll. It's underneath the landing page. So you will scroll here to layout. And the first thing to do, oh my goodness, I'm running out of titles. Okay, let's just do ocean. And here you could just add some text. When you initially save it, I recommend that you take the publish out so that people don't see it, Jill, when your website is live and it's like, why is this page halfway? So just deselect the published and save it. Now that the node has been created, you should have present this layout tab underneath the title of your page. So you should have a ribbon. And if you do not have it, Jill, send us a message to partner support so we can further explore. But this was rolled out to all websites for all the users. So when you are in the authenticated view and you see your page and you have this edit, go over to layout. And then you will see edit the layout for Ocean. And then underneath that, just give it a little bit of a scroll. You will see that solid blue boundary where you can start to populate sections and then just add blocks, and you can move them around until you're, decided that you're ready for prime time. Are you seeing this, Jill, or not yet?
Yes, I am now that you went back through that. So thanks for taking the time to do that.
Absolutely, my pleasure. And if you need a one-on-one, just hit us up over on partner support and we'll schedule a meeting.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Krista, go ahead.
Just really quick, and I have something scheduled with you for June, Cecilia, but I just want to ask a question I think I know the answer to. If I have a page that's set up as rows and cards, I can't just convert it to a layout. I have to redesign it and refuss with it. Yeah, that's what I figured, but I was kind of hoping for a little, Hail Mary web click. But that was what I figured. So thanks. I appreciate it.
No, totally. And the more we get familiar with layouts, the easier the transition will be. We will find the benefits of layouts. However, if there is a use case to retain the current rows and cards, those are still going to be maintained. I do know we have some of our team. Alexa, Barry, am I missing anything? Kellen, anything for the team? Anything that I have missed? Oh, Brian.
No.
Nothing from me. Thank you.
My echo is going crazy. Sorry, boss lady. All right, guys, I think we are at time. Is there any feedback, any questions? Anything that I could do for you?
Thanks, Cecilia. I appreciate it. It was really great today.
Absolutely. It is truly my pleasure. And again, I want for these sessions to be of value to you. So if you want to see things that we show during these sessions, please let me know. We're in the process of updating content so that we have more training resources. So again, have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Just know that the meeting invitations will change. So going to be some switching around. So thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.